Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode of Explicitly Pro-Life. I'm Kristan Hawkins, and today I have a very special guest in our studio. Dun, 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 the Executive Vice President of Students for Life America, Tina Whittington. Yay! So today's episode is going to be win, lose, or draw. If you were a child of the 80s or the 70s, you would remember that game. If you're born in the 1990s or later, you wouldn't. But I asked Tina to come on. She actually has a much better memory of me, of reminding me of my failures a lot.
That's not true. I don't you make it sound like I remind you all the time. Like,
no,
that time
but you
failed, Kristan?
You have a good recollection of things that we've failed at Students for Life. But the last week's episode, we had David come on, and David gave us motivational talk of why we need to do more than we ever done before in 2020.
So I have to live up to David.
You don't have to love David. You have your own skill and expertise and coolness. Right. But so David gave us, the why we need to fight harder than ever before in 2020, why it's all on the line. One of the things we kind of asked all of the listeners / viewers to think about is how to innovate, how to change the rules of the game, the way the game's even being played on your campus and your community. Because one of the things that David, I think, very appropriately pointed out in last week's episode was that in a lot of communities, the way the pro-life movement functions and what the pro-life movement does hasn't really changed in 40 years.
Sure.
They go to the Apple Festival, they go to the county fair, they do a beautiful baby contest in the parade. I'm speaking for my mom's own Right to Life group here.
Baby bottle fundraiser.
Baby bottle fundraiser, but things haven't changed. And what we know from the abortion industry is they have a very aggressive strategic plan for how they're planning to change the abortion industry. They want to move away from these brick and mortar facilities. They want to get, telemedicine abortions, basically order your abortion on Amazon is, I think, their wish list, their goal. And so we as a pro-life movement have to be willing to change our strategies, our tactics, not change our mission, but change those things. So I thought it'd be fun to have you on today to talk about just leading by example, kind of showing the ways Students for Life and what our team has tried to do to innovate, to change up things, to do things a little differently, and to prove to you that it can work, that you will fail. I warned you of this last week. You will fail. But the question is, do you fail forward and do you learn from those mistakes? But I wanted to kind of show you our failures at Students for Life, some of our successes, and some of the draws, which we still don't, juries maybe still out. And maybe you can tell us whether or not it was
a win or not.
Yeah, a win or a failure. But I thought it'd be interesting to go through the list. So I asked Tina to kind of draw up a list of her recollection. You are a second longest serving employee.
9.5 years.
9.5 years. You started in August of 2010. 2010. So you would have the best. I'm really bad at looking back. So I forget. I can't tell you what my kids' first words are. I don't know. I don't think about that. So I have to write it down. I'll forget it. But you're really good at this stuff. So, okay. All right, do you want to start negative or positive?
Well, what if we start by year? Because we could start in 2011 because there's wins and fails in 2011.
Okay,
so we try. We might.
So
just
we're going
pop
back
around
to 2011. We're not Students for Life started in 2006, or 2005 technically. But
I started in 2010, so my memory only goes back so far. I don't know what you won and lost in before that.
There was a lot of losing.
I think it was just a lot of trying to figure out what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah, that's true. Who Students for Life was, what our niche was. So
yeah, what the employees needed to be, what the jobs were. But this Kristan settled that in 2010. She launched, actually, this is a really good place to start. So in 2010, fall of 2010, you launched the very first ever full-time field team. So before that, we had a totally different, so this is when I came on, all the regional coordinators, they're called field agents then?
Field agents. I think it's still sexier.
Yeah. And you brought them all in to do a training. I remember because my husband helped train them and David B. Wright came in. I can't remember who else. We had people come in.
Connie Marshner.
Yeah. And so you brought them all in and then we sent them out into the regions in which they would serve the student groups. But that was revolutionary because no one had ever in the history of pro-life youth movement work hired people full time to do that work because we were looking at the Leadership Institute model originally,
which they hire part-time semester employees essentially who work on commission.
So that we started with 4.
Yeah, because that was a risk because we had
no money.
Yeah, we had no money. Don't ask us about those days. But we had the previous year, we had, I think, 10 regional coordinate or field agents because they were
part-time
commission based, and then we moved to doing full-time, so we had to cut from 10 regions. That was a fun board meeting, 10 to 4 regions to start this new model. But
but it was a total
exciting.
success. So with part-time people, you found they weren't always doing the job. I think you had someone who was like actually campaigning for themselves.
Yeah, we had someone who started running a campaign. I think he was campaigning for himself or somebody else. Then I had to send a staffer, that's how broke we were, to his house in Indiana to get his laptop because he refused to give back his laptop. And the reason we found out he wasn't working, one, his numbers weren't good, but two, he like gave interviews to the media, so then it came up on my Google alerts. Like people do some like stupid things. So
but that was a win.
Yeah.
Switching how we operate in the field was a huge win because we went from 4 regional coordinators to like about 20 almost right now.
Yeah, we're at 20 full time right now.
So that's huge. And that has changed the game. I think one of the things for us that innovating is we're relationship based, and I feel like a lot of other organizations aren't. They don't have an actual human being who can sit with you and table on campus or recruit or train you in person. It's a lot of like emails and
talk to you when your best friend doesn't talk to you anymore. Roommates refusing to live with you because they found that you're the president of the pro-life club on campus.
Or the president and vice president of the pro-life group on campus break up.
Yeah.
Oh, so much drama, so much drama. Okay.
Please don't do that.
So that was definitely a win.
Yep. There you go.
2010. 2011, here's another big win. We launched Pregnant on Campus fall of 2011. That was huge. So at this time, we were working with Feminists for Life, and they were going around and doing their, what is it called, Kristan?
They had a resources survey.
Yes, resources survey. And they'd come on campus and like survey what was available, what wasn't available, and then have an event. And then students were kind of left with like, okay, well,
here's a huge laundry list of everything you need to do to make your campus pro-woman and pro-life.
But then they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so with Pregnant on Campus, we actually launched a whole program that broke it down for them to actually implement these things. Like
these are
diaper
tangible,
decks,
bite-sized things you can implement on your campus to kind of move you in that direction. Didn't have a whole lot of ideas for how we're going to implement it, but today it's
huge.
Right? I mean, we're now doing we're tracking now campus policies that have been changed on campuses to make campuses more pregnant parenting friendly.
Parents who've been assisted, whether it's in pregnancy or as just a parenting student on campus.
We definitely should have Ruth on the podcast to talk about her story. She was a student who we were able to help, and all the Students for Life supporters chipped in, and we, I think, paid off her final debt. So now she actually had to drop out of school because she was told, oh, you're sorry, you were giving birth during finals, but you can't come back. You'll lose all your federal grants. So she dropped out of college. Didn't know there was a thing called Title IX until a Students for Life member met her. So now she's back re-enrolled in school and has her son and will be a college graduate very soon. So
and so we've got the Pregnant on Campus. We get the Bill of Rights going. We're
right.
working on other pregnancy non-discrimination things. Working with HHS and Department of Ed to like see how do we even grow this bigger. So win, win, win.
Yay, win.
Babies saved, moms helped, campuses changed with great policies. A loss. Oh, this is a 2-year fail. Okay, actually, it's a 2-year fail. So we thought...
We're stubborn.
So this is like actually a really good idea though, Kristan. So like hundreds of thousands of people come to the March for Life every year in January. And they come and they march and they hear from some speakers and woo, pat themselves on the back. And then a lot of times they go home with like no new ideas, no new tools.
Which is why we've launched National Pro-Life Summit, and you should attend Saturday, January 25th, day after the March for Life.
Thank you for plugging that. And we were still doing our conference, but it was a smaller venue, so we only could serve about 1,100 students.
Yeah, this was when the Students for Life conference was at CUA.
No, well, this was the first year we were at the Marriott in Bethesda.
Bethesda, yeah.
Yeah. So we could only serve 1,100 students, and so we thought, what if we have a national pro-life youth rally at the end of the March for Life? So when everyone gets up there, SCOTUS is chaos, people don't know which direction to go, so we were trying to filter them down through.
On their way to Union Station to catch the bus.
Yeah. And so we had like Barlow Girl. We had some like really great speakers and people, but the problem was that students had to like get there and get on their buses and get home. And so it was sort of like a drive-by rally. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
Woo! And then they just keep
going.
walking.
Yeah. But
we tried to register voters.
Yes, we were trying
with
to register
iPads.
Yes.
Does not work for on the freezing cold. No. Any of you have gone to the March for Life and it's really cold, your phone will start to die really fast. And if your finger is cold,
it doesn't
pick up on. And also there's so many under 18-year-olds at the March for Life.
Yeah.
That's also a problem. We were looking up like that day who could register if they were 17 and a half. Because some states let you register at 17 and a half.
Yeah. All of our team had like clipboards with like notes of like how to ask people and what the deal is for each state. So but it was like, so that's a win, lose, or draw. Like,
It might be a draw because like somebody could have come.
yeah, we passed out 5. So this was also when we launched.
The second year we passed out those bags.
No, this first year, dude. Oh. That was 2011. Oh. It was when we first launched National Pro-Life Chalk Day.
See, that is a win with a failing event.
Yeah. So we did pass out 5,000 bags at the youth rally that had your starter kit of chalk and the instructions for Chalk Day. Because we were like, let's get these people together and then send them home with marching orders was the idea.
Something tangible to do.
So I guess, I don't know, I guess we thought it was a win. It was enough of a win
for us to try it again.
So 2012, we tried again. Now we've stuffed all these bags. This is a lot of work, stuffing bags.
5,000 bags is a lot of bags of stuff.
It really is. So January 2012, there was a weather advisory with ice and rain, which shut down the entire event because, you can't have like...
electrical stuff.
Yeah, and on Capitol grounds, they won't let you have like tents to cover your stuff. So anyway, we had to cancel it. But we had this crazy idea... Kristan Hawkins' crazy idea of turning it into a webcast. So we took all the rally speakers that were supposed to be like speaking at the event live. We turned it into a webcast, invited people to call in. I mean, it was the best. We did the best
we could. We're gritty and we're very stubborn too. Like we're just not going to say yes to the devil. Like no matter what thing is put in our way, we are going to step up.
Okay, so let's move on from 2011 to 2012.
Okay, moving on.
So we did one win, lose, or draw. We're not sure. The second one was definitely a loss.
The reason we did the second one was because we thought first one was okay, but there could be momentum if we built it.
Yeah, I
that
agree.
was the idea of like, it was okay.
That's true. So you can innovate and come up with a new idea that isn't super successful the first time.
Yeah, but it could be, it catches on. It can build. So don't be like, if you try something and it doesn't work, don't say that's instantly a fail. Analyze and figure out, is this something that could work? Maybe I just didn't market
or shift one part of it.
Or maybe I need to change it. Or
the location should be different.
Maybe the name of the event should have been better than instead of just saying a pro-life rally. Maybe it should have been a little sexier. Maybe.
It was pro-life youth rally.
Yeah,
I mean, you only get so sexy on that.
It's just hard. It's a hard time. Everyone's cold.
Yes, that was the other problem. So, okay. So,
2012.
So
that was the election, the re-election of Barack Obama.
Yes. So we did 2012. Where's the freedom? So
WTF campaign.
Yes, the WTF.
I love those T-shirts.
Yeah. Adults didn't get it.
No, it was great. Adults didn't get it. Students totally got it.
Yeah. So where's the freedom? So that was a campaign all about the Affordable Health Care Act and the abortion birth control mandate that was a part of it.
That's right.
This was kind of like our first campaigny,
slogan-y. We did like a lobby day on Capitol Hill. We did an
online campaign to sign a petition.
Yep. We had T-shirts. And then we did a rally. So what's really cool is that was the first time, I think, we did a rally in front of the Supreme Court, which was a little, gritty. We took Tina's sound system from her basement.
I borrowed a generator from a neighbor.
Yeah. And all of the pro-aborts were out in front of the Supreme Court for the decision day, the hearings on Obamacare. And it was us. And there was like tons of press coverage of, young pro-life students holding Where's the Freedom signs and other pro-life gen signs and slogans. So we got a ton of press coverage.
That's huge.
What I actually loved so much about that campaign was that kind of started kind of this shift, because prior to that point that I can recall, the pro-life movement and broadly the conservative movement didn't hold like rallies in front of the Supreme Court, like after
press conferences.
Yeah, press conferences. The lawyer and the plaintiff would come down and
make a statement.
To the sticks for Fox and CNN, but there weren't like loud rallies in front of the court where the left was doing it. So now that's a routine thing. Now, anytime there's a pro-life case, everyone wants to have a rally.
The hearing, the decision day.
ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom's they came to a couple of rallies. Now they're doing their own rallies when they've got religious freedom cases. So it's actually been a huge kind of shift within the conservative pro-life movement of rallying and getting out there for hearings. So we're usually in like March and February when it's cold and snowy, and then also in June when it's hot and
sweaty. Yeah,
sweaty and
it's
very
a no
smelly. It's bad either way, but it's important to be out there for both of those.
Yeah,
days.
and I think that's a big part of whether you're doing campus outreach, community outreach, or with Students for Life is you want to drive the narrative. And if you're not there, there's a void of a pro-life voice. And so anytime you can get out, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a rally. Sometimes it can just be 5 people with pro-life t-shirts holding signs that the reporters go, oh, someone different is here. I'm going to go and like talk to them. So it can be big with banners and loudspeakers and
stage.
But it can also be just being a presence sometimes too is a win. So that was definitely a win, and it definitely put us on a different course, because now we've done several campaigns like this where we've done a lobby day, something at the Supreme Court, a campaign. So it kind of paved the way for us.
There's wonderful
to
like Google images of me with a bullhorn and awful clothes.
Yeah,
sweating.
you were on the cover like Washington Post or something like that with the
you
bullhorn.
don't want to Google images me. It's bad. But it's interesting. Sometimes that's debatable in the pro-life movement. Like the pro-life movement shouldn't have bullhorns and we seem too shouty. But I'm like, we're not in front of an abortion clinic doing this.
Yeah.
We're not yelling at women. This is about getting your message and driving your narrative from the Supreme Court. And I think that there's different times and places where certain tactics are appropriate. That's totally appropriate at the Supreme Court. But anyway.
Also, we're like young and fun, and so we need bullhorns.
You're young and fun.
Yeah. You're young and fun.
We're both young and fun.
All right, so that was 2012. I will skip that GOTV campaign.
2013.
So we had a huge win in 2013. Yeah. We did our awesome Stand for Life bus tour, but before that, where is my
Stop
win?
Carhartt.
Planned Parenthood Project.
Oh,
huge win, 2013. Okay, so our groups kept asking us, like, what can we do on campus? What big thing? What big event? And at that point in 2013, it was like you could host a giant graphic image display
or do
a Cemetery of the Innocents. And that was pretty much the two
things you could do.
Yeah, the big eye-catching campus
or host
outreach.
A speaker.
Yeah. So Kristan had this crazy idea. She came into the office one day and was like, what do you guys think about pink crosses? And we were like, I don't know, pink crosses. I don't know what you mean by that. And then she explained this whole like idea that she got about, well, what if we combine our outrage over Planned Parenthood and what they're doing with this Cemetery of the Innocents, and we paint them pink and we do everything pink like Planned Parenthood, so we really show who they are, what they do. We like basically disassemble their annual report, put it up on banners. So it wasn't even like opinion, it wasn't like commentary, it wasn't a study, it was literally verbatim from their annual report. We put it up there with the 900 and I don't know what it was then, 15 crosses, and went out on campuses. So my husband, so this is again like, we have tight budgets, and so you're on campus, I'm sure you don't have a huge budget, so we bought like pieces of wood at the hardware store or the Home Depot, Lowe's, something, and painted them. Like,
and
there's
Phil
still
Eddy was upstairs. Remember, there was that empty office above us.
Yeah, but we got kicked out, and so then all the crosses moved to my house. I still have pink paint in my bathroom from painting pink crosses in my living room. Whatever. Anyway, so we got these pink crosses together, created the banners. And we started out on 8 campuses just to try it out and see, like, is this really like good? Will it take effect?
Tina's husband, our director of operations, Eric, loaded the crosses and banners into their Jetta and was the one driving these crosses
to these 8
campuses. Yeah.
So it was really great because even I think culture's even worse on campus now. It's like that earbud culture. Like, I see people a lot of times on campus where all the tabling is all in one area, and so you see these students like just walk. It's like they've got blind. Like, I will not look at you. I will not look at you. So you will not talk to me. So these are things like, whoa, what's going on? So one of the first campuses we were on with it was Steubenville,
Franciscan University.
Yeah, and so I don't know, like, this pro-life group there must not have communicated like across campus what's going on. So people started freaking out because they thought Planned Parenthood was on campus. We had these giant teardrops.
And Franciscan is very Catholic.
Very Catholic, yeah. We had these like teardrop banners are like
Planned
14 feet.
Project.
Yeah, just said Planned Parenthood. People like rushed because they were like, why is Planned Parenthood on our campus? What's going on?
It's great. It was brilliant. I was like, yes, that's exactly what we want. We got their attention.
Yes, it was really great. We had lots of great conversations, even on a Catholic university, about Planned Parenthood, because people just don't know. And then we took it on to secular campuses.
People came up and were like, hey, where's my condoms? I need some more condoms.
Yeah. But
we don't have condoms, but we have something else for you.
Oh, yeah. We had teachers. We had like a feminist instructor come out with her whole class thinking she was going to like show us. It was awesome. She brought her whole class out, and we're like, no, this is their annual report. Like, we're not making this stuff up. It's not like a study, or we didn't do a research project. This is what they're telling us they're doing. So that was a huge win. I think it really changed how we operate at Students for Life, because then we started doing more and more of these sort of like tours with
every
banners.
Semester now we have a different kind of theme. I think that was important too, because that was in 2013. We were having a problem at that time. There was a study we had done in 2012 where pro-life students did not know Planned Parenthood was bad.
Yep.
And largely the pro-life movement, I actually still am kind of shocked that for 1973 until about 2008, 2009, pro-life movement really didn't talk about Planned Parenthood. Like, here's the Goliath committing the majority of abortions, receiving taxpayer dollars, which in the 2000s, the taxpayer dollars shot up. But the pro-life movement wasn't like focusing in on the Goliath. And when you look at like battle strategies and tactics, you want to focus in on one perpetrator. And so I think that was kind of our way of kind of educating pro-life, even our groups, about why they should care about Planned Parenthood, why they should talk, and how they can do it and actually win.
And show them there's a villain in this.
Oh yeah, there's
a bad guy who's after your tax dollars, who's committing the majority of
abortion issue that's like too big for you to conceive. Like, there is one villain that you can focus in on that you're actually funding with your taxpayer dollars still to this day.
And we've done that tour. We've made it better. We've grown it, changed it. We did. We don't need Planned Parenthood. We've morphed it.
The one in the spring of 2019, we had over a 51% conversion rate on campuses in conversations where we took we were measuring, are you pro Planned Parenthood, and then are you anti when you left? It's actually it's actually easier to convert them to being anti Planned Parenthood than to be anti abortion. It's very easy to do, and that's actually what inspired me this summer. Which is, it's maybe a draw right now because of our team, but to launch Talk, which is Talk About Life 250K, because our goal is this school year 2019-2020
to have 250,000 conversations about abortion.
So that's what I've challenged our team to do, that we want to have, and we want to work with our student groups, have 250,000 conversations about abortion. So we're measuring now the number of conversations we have on our tours, our tabletops, anytime a Students for Life group's on campus talking and having display, and then we're trying to measure what's the conversion rate of that. And you can actually join Talk by yourself. You do not have to be in a Students for Life group. Where do you go to sign up to pledge?
studentsforlifehq.com.
If you go to studentsforlifehq.com, you can actually sign up to be part of Talk, and then you can go there and like record every time you have conversations. We're giving away prizes, and we're actually doing a whole like grant program. We're gonna do a contest. I think
in February we're doing a drawing on winning a all-inclusive paid trip to the March for Life for 2021 that includes our conference.
That's awesome. So if you all you have to do is sign up and pledge,
and you're in the drawing.
Let's go to sflahq.com. Or Students for Life HQ.
Students for Life HQ.
You would think I would know this. Okay. So
we just call it HQ in the office, so we forget.
Yeah. So Planned Parenthood Project, total win.
Total win. Absolutely. We've driven that narrative.
Yep.
We will not stop talking about
2013 Austin. Let's talk about Austin. Yeah. Another big win.
So that was Wendy Davis, who filibustered in Texas. They were trying to pass literally common sense regulations on abortion facilities. It was like to have
hallways wide
admitting
enough,
privileges, hallways
for the gurneys to get through.
But it was all like just basic
and
stuff.
She's decided to filibuster her pink tennis shoes. Sandra Bullock's actually playing her. They're actually making
a movie about this.
I'm never going to watch The Blind Side ever again now.
But we found out about the filibuster. It was huge news, and then it was all about they were going to go to vote on this, and so we knew we had to get there to be a part of this and have like I said, let's not be a void when it comes to the pro-life message. Let's be there and drive the narrative.
Because we were getting our butts handed to us in messaging. Like pro-lifers just, because pro-lifers work and have kids, and so they weren't coming out, and so all you saw were these like pro-abortion crazy people protesting in Austin. And so we were like, we have to be there. We need to intercept and we need to redefine the messaging here.
So this is one of those crazy things. I remember the night where we were like, okay, we have to decide tonight if we're going to wrap this bus with like Stand for Life branding. And we had all the stops laid out. We had it pitched. We had $0 for this, which is so crazy. And so I remember we were in the Manassas office. It was like 11 o'clock. I needed to go home. And you were like, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it and we'll just take a leap of faith. And then on my drive home, you called me and someone had given us all the money at midnight for the bus. It was like,
goosebumps.
It was insane. So we took students from Virginia and DC. We picked up all along
totally
the way.
Holy Spirit thing because I had a
Texas.
supporter call and I was like, I just know you probably need money for something right now. What can I give you? And I was like, I need $20,000 for a bus, Donna. And Donna did.
Yeah, it was great.
It was
but it was
amazing.
like the 11th hour.
It was,
like
literally. And I think Brendan had to give up his vacation.
Yep.
And I was going on vacation. I had to work and everyone was mad because I was working at night. Yeah, it was fun.
But it was great. We filled up a bus with students. We
awesome.
collected them starting in
And
Virginia.
we had so many young students who joined us on that tour, who went and saw the crazy. And because they had been involved in Students for Life, but because they saw like just the insanity of their side in Austin decided to commit themselves to the pro-life movement. So I think we ended up hiring 2 or 3 people
that went on
who
that,
were students who went with us on that tour. That's I think sometimes people think, oh, it's just my campus is too crazy, they're too pro-abortion. No, you'll have the best Students for Life group.
Yeah.
And we often do have the best Students for Life groups. We get the best leaders out of situations that are the worst, where they face the most adversity. So don't be sad. Like if your group or, someone who's facing this adversity, yes, you can help them, but that's making them into a stronger, and it's going to make your group into a stronger pro-life voice.
So I want to end with 2. Let's
Okay.
just do 2 more because I don't know how long this goes. And
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
wanna, okay. All right. So I want us to do Women Betrayed rallies.
Oh,
so
yes.
this was
2015.
huge. So this is when the Center for Medical Progress videos came out showing that Planned Parenthood was negotiating for the cost of baby body parts. And here's the thing about media. Like, it's a 2-second media cycle before people don't care anymore. And so people really cared when the first videos came out. It was like huge news. So we knew like we need to capture this outrage now. And we also knew like it couldn't be too like baby focused.
Yeah.
Because if it was too baby focused, we would lose like mushy middle people that we felt would be on our side on this. And we actually caught, so I would say this was a win, but there's a little bit of maybe a draw area in it. We got a lot of flack from the pro-life movement at large because we called it Women Betrayed.
We did call it Babies Betrayed, which people got very mad about.
So we wanted to focus on the fact that Planned Parenthood is, basically making profit off of women from the abortion procedure. So they're already
charging them for the abortion.
So they're making money off her crisis.
Yep.
But then
They turn around
and take her child and
dissect him
to sell for parts.
Yeah.
It was just outrageous, but we knew we needed to focus on the women, and it totally worked. Within 2 weeks of the first video releasing, we organized 80 rallies across the country. It was probably, by the time we got the final count, probably closer to 100.
And I think at the time it was probably, I was told at the time it was the largest single earned media day our movement's ever had, which is huge. Earned media is free publicity. So, local newspapers, radio stations, TV stations, because we had coverage everywhere. We had Sarah Palin, we had all these people, Ted Cruz, and all these amazing leaders in Washington, but then also in the state houses, in communities, there was amazing pro-life leaders speaking out. So it was huge. It was huge. It was huge for us too, because again, every time we do something that innovates, it adapts our model. So what we did is we created a kit for rally captains. We Brendan and I were staying up late, working all crazy hours to try to get this stuff out, but we created these kits so that people knew how do I reserve space? What do I need for permits? All the information. What do I do when the police tell me to move or turn my sound down? And so we got all that together. We created rally signs. We got them printed fast and got them mailed out. It was just insane. For a 2 week between the first video and then us doing these rallies was pretty incredible. But again, it changed how we do things, and now we've done this in other
with other issues where we've said, okay, we're going to mobilize and we're going to move this into different states, and here's kind of your kit. We're going to empower you and give you the things you need so that you can do this, and we can have something happen all at once.
And that's actually one of the things now we measure at Students for Life. It's not just how many groups do we start, how many active groups are there, or how active those groups, what their quality level is. We actually now measure how many mobilizations do Students for Lifers have in the state. How many times can they get to the Capitol fast, or protest the president of Planned Parenthood coming in for her book tour, or how quickly can we move? Because this is actually part of our post-Roe strategy, which is, we have 50 state battles we need to prepare for. And we need our pro-life grassroots ready and willing to jump into the fight and lead that fight. So our mobilizations are a way of kind of testing that out. What's our response time? How many people can we get to mobilize? Who are we training in the process who can take on this leadership?
And getting people comfortable. I think it's scary. Socks next.
Yeah, I want to talk about socks. But we could talk about our failures. Surely we have more failures.
I'm sure we do.
It's too many wins.
I'm sorry. Well,
we had failure in 2015, that Hope and Future campaign.
Yes, there you go. Sorry. Yes.
We really believed in the Hope and Future campaign. We had this beautiful scripture. It was to support our Pregnant on Campus program. And so it was like this fundraising thing where you become like a monthly donor for like $13 or something to support our Pregnant on Campus program. It was beautiful. We had we launched a website.
Oh yeah, we had these great T-shirts.
T-shirts.
We spoke on the main stage of
Creation.
Like 6 different music festivals. Ichthus, Creation, like a whole bunch of them. And
we're like, if everyone just gave $13 a month.
No, people just didn't buy into that.
No.
It was a major flop. All the work, too, and effort we put
in.
We
really thought I was going to succeed.
I still have everything saved to the server in case we ever want to try to resurrect it.
I think I want to resurrect it. Because I'm like, maybe we were just a different organization then. Maybe we can do it now. I'm writing it down in my notes right now.
Well, stop Carhartt. Do you want to talk about that failure before we end on socks?
Yeah. We can do it on failure.
So
what year was that? Was that 2013?
Okay, so 2013. Sorry. Well, we hop around. So Carhartt is a late-term abortionist, and he has 2 facilities, one in Maryland and one in, is it
Nebraska?
Nebraska. I was going to say Ohio for some reason. Nebraska. So he flies back and forth between those 2 facilities, and the facility in Maryland had not been inspected for quite a while, and a woman had just died. Jennifer Morbelli had just died. Basically, she was having complications because it takes a couple of days for a late-term abortion. She was having complications on the second day, and Carhartt wasn't there.
Yeah, Leroy Carhartt was back in Nebraska committing abortions when she was in her hotel room bleeding out. And by the time she went to the emergency room, because he didn't have admitting privileges, they had no idea what was going on, and she ended up dying there in the hospital. But yeah, so we did a campaign. It was like a petition to get his abortion facility inspected. We partnered with local Maryland
Right to Life and other organizations there.
But it was a big failure. We got one. We took the petitions to CPAC.
Yes,
and we were like, CPAC's in Maryland. This should be easy.
Well, also CPAC is conservative, so conservatives should want abortion facilities to be inspected, especially ones that end up killing people. But this was when the libertarians were beginning the takeover of CPAC. I've heard it's going to be better this year, but
I've heard that too.
But we got in more arguments about abortion than we did get. We thought this is low-hanging fruit. Everyone's against late-term abortion. People will get so many signatures. We ended up getting 1,000 signatures, not at CPAC, but from the online campaign and working with other organizations. We tried to deliver them to the Maryland Board of Physicians. They refused to accept them the first time. It was insane.
If you have petitions, you should always actually deliver them, but you need to figure out how you're going to deliver them. You got to be able to sneak into the building. You got to.
They don't want them.
They don't want to take them, so you have to be kind of stealthy about how you actually. Deliver them.
So the second time we made a meeting appointment with someone, and we just brought them all in, and we had cameras with us, and so they were like, "Oh yes, thank you." So it was that was a kind of a fail, a draw. Yeah.
We'll see.
We learned though, now when we're going to deliver petitions, we make sure we understand how to do it, and if we know in advance they're not going to accept them, how do we force them to accept them by having cameras?
We're talking about the sock thing, which is our final win. We're going to talk about after the big rally in Capitol Hill. We decided to take some of the
baskets,
socks to
the offices.
The offices of, I think, Speaker Ryan.
Yep,
but then
there were several offices.
Then you have to go through security with these baskets of socks. And we had all the students with our baskets of socks, and then they topple over in the security belt, and so I had baby socks.
Well, I did measure them. So
okay, yes.
I did measure them to make sure they would fit. I did get baskets that would fit.
Yes, you did measure.
I tried to think
that was a
through.
last minute, like, the baskets aren't going to fit. We have to get baskets that fit through security. But socket to PP. That's the final thing we should talk about. That's my favorite.
Okay, socket to Planned Parenthood. I didn't write the date on that one. That's terrible of me.
Oh,
when
good
was
lordy. That must have been 2016, 2017. So it was after we had the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the presidency. So that must have been 2017.
So we got feedback from our team and our students that people were tired of talking about Planned Parenthood.
No one wanted to talk about Planned Parenthood.
They didn't want to host the Planned Parenthood tour, that we don't need Planned Parenthood tour. They were tired. Can we just stop talking about defunding Planned Parenthood, please? And so we were like, okay, we're not going to stop talking about Planned Parenthood.
We just have to make it sexier.
What's the thing we're going to do to change it up?
David B. Wright helped us with this.
Yes. So what's the thing we're going to do to change it up, to talk about it in a new way that students can get excited about?
And Christina
Hernandez said, yeah, the dump. But so we had a student group that had done this project. So here you go. You come up with an idea and you tell us about it, because it might turn into the next Socket to Planned Parenthood campaign. Right. So we had a student group who had pinned socks on their backpacks to try to get people to ask them, why do you have a baby sock on your backpack? So it was a way to have conversations on campus. So then they would talk about, oh, I have this sock pinned to my backpack to remember the unborn. And, did you know that 3,000 babies every day, their lives are ended through abortion? So they could have these conversations. And we were like, oh, I
saw that on Facebook. A student tagged one of our staffers in it.
And we thought, what a great idea.
And then we had somebody on staff who was like, well, we could just dump a bunch of socks.
Yeah. So we were talking about what is the new thing we can do, and kind of tongue in cheek or negative Nancy, she was like, well, what if we had a dump truck of baby socks and we just dumped them at the Capitol Hill? And Chris was like, yeah, what if we did do that? So we were like, hey, what do we call it?
Think outside the box to be a David.
I know. Well, we brought David in because we were like, okay, what are we going to call this?
Oh, David B. Wright. Yeah. We called David B. Wright in, marketing genius.
Yeah. So it's socket to PP, and the P and P were socks.
Looks like socks.
So socket to Planned Parenthood.
And we asked pro-lifers across the country to mail us
to buy a pair of baby socks, pin one on so they can have these conversations, and then send one in.
And we were going to collect one baby sock for every child Planned Parenthood aborted
in a year.
So that's 300. It was at the time, it's 321,000 or 327,000.
Like reduced a little bit the next year. But.
Or then some people didn't want to buy socks, so they donated money, and then we bought the socks. We had to find a wholesaler seller of baby socks.
So by the time we collected about half the socks, this is about 150,000 socks. Yeah. We decided it was time to do a big event on Capitol Hill, and so. This is a lot of socks. I don't even know how to quantify like how many socks
it was. An entire U-Haul truck.
Like if you got one of those pods, if you ever seen anyone like moving or whatever, they put the pod. It'd be one of those.
And that was, I think, the midpoint rally. We were 190 some thousand socks.
It was, yeah.
And so we had them in boxes, and then you had some of them in those laundry baskets.
Yeah.
And then first of all, taking a truck into Washington D.C. isn't easy. It has to be inspected. And then you have to take a truck on Capitol Hill, which is
a double inspection. You got to get inspected twice.
And then you can only get so close. So we had the rally on Capitol Hill because we wanted to impact, the GOP legislators to actually, do what they said they were going to do and defund Planned Parenthood. So we had to park the truck, and then we had to walk the socks. Everyone, we had this human chain.
Yeah, there's
and then we kept dumping them.
Yep. We had lots of students. We probably had 30 or 40 students that were helping volunteer to get all the socks. But it was such a huge win. These socks piled up in front of the Capitol building. People were stopping, what is this about?
Yeah, I was converting people while I was just sitting there guarding the truck because they're like, what are these for? And I was like, oh, every sock here represents one baby Planned Parenthood will kill this year.
Yeah.
It just stops conversation right there.
Yeah, it was great. And
it was huge.
So then that was a success. And then we took them on a tour
to campuses.
We put them in a truck. Again, these crazy ideas we get.
Oh yeah, we put it in. I forgot about
the box truck. So we bought a box truck thinking we're going to take these. Okay, so one, that's a lot of socks for a box truck. Two, how do people see inside a box truck to know? So there's all these things that come up. So I'm telling you, you're going to have a great idea. but then you're going to have to take that great idea and break it down into the steps to actually accomplish it. And so there were definitely a lot of like bumps in the road on that.
But you don't get deterred. Like
Yeah.
you can find a solution to it or find somebody else. Like Tina is always my solution go-to person. Like I have a crazy idea and then Tina's like, how do we actually execute this? I know we're going to take plexiglass and put it in the door for the box truck so we can open up the door every time we go somewhere with
And people
our
can see it.
socket to PP tour. Yeah. So it worked really well. But you have to have a crazy person with ideas, with vision. You need to have a crazy person who's willing to accept the mission and figure out how to get it done no matter what. And so, yeah, the PP, Socket to PP campaign, I think was a huge success.
Yeah.
We actually still have the socks here at the Students for Life office.
It's a little point of contention between Kristan and I.
Tina wants to donate them. I want to keep them because I still feel like there's more we can do with the socks. Like when the GOP wins back the House, we will have the House, we will have the Senate, we will have the presidency in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have 327,000 socks. Then will be the time to reallocate Planned Parenthood's funding to FQHCs and pregnancy centers. So
it could be the most epic win ever.
Yes. And when we have the museum towards abortion, just like how we have the Holocaust Museum, I'm totally convinced we are going to have a museum for all the victims of the abortion industry. I always think about that Holocaust when you walk into the Holocaust Museum, they have all the shoes of the victims where they took the shoes once they arrived at the concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
We could use these socks for that museum.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to pay to store them for the next however many years.
Yeah. Someone needs to donate to pay for storage because Tina wants to get rid of them.
Well, whatever. So you have a cast of vision. I think that this is really important. Like one of the things I love about Kristan and hate, is that she has ideas that are unfettered. And I think when you're trying to innovate and you want to like really impact your campus or your community, you need to like unfetter yourself. Like don't think about how much money you have. Don't think about how many people you have. Like cast the big vision because you can administrate it after that.
That's right.
And so I think that's kind of we're the yin yang. Yeah. Kristan has the unfettered crazy ideas.
You call us Moses and Aaron.
Yes, I'm Aaron to Kristan's Moses. She's up there like, woo, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, Kristan, I'll help you do it.
But I mean, I hope this is helpful for you.
Yeah.
Kind of get your
juices flowing of
what's going on campus, what's going on in my community. How can I kind of have this big picture vision and do something outside the box to be that David fighting this Goliath? Because you're not going to win. We are not going to win if we fight like a Goliath versus a Goliath. We have to fight like Davids. And Davids can win 60% of the time if they fight like David. Just read Malcolm Gladwell's David versus Goliath book. It's excellent, and this talks all about this. But we can win, but we have to fight like Davids, and that starts with thinking outside of the box, changing the rules of the game, and being unafraid to fail.
Yeah, don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah, because we fail, and we just told you all our failures, and we laughed about. So,
and we have more. We have
more.
She gave me like 10 minutes to try to think of things. So,
okay, thanks guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.